Ruslan.
Some of you guys don't know we have a Patreon community where we review music every single Friday called Fan Love Friday. And the gentleman I'm about to introduce you guys, I met through Fan Love Friday music reviews. He reached out to me 2019. We became good friends, hung out in person, did some road trips together to see Kanye and to, I don't know, go hang out around here in California. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I have to introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nick D. What's up, brother? Thank you for being here.
What's going on?
All the sound effects, can you, yeah, there you go, center yourself. Nick D is not
there,
live with us, but he's live with us. Bro, thank you so much for being here. Fineapple, number two in the country.
Number two in the country, yeah, in the States.
In the country. In the country.
Wow.
Now, for folks who don't know who you are, Nick D, can you introduce yourself real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation?
Yeah, I'm Nick. I'm a husband, a father, music artist, lover of Jesus, and that pretty much sums me up. I guess business owner, photographer. I don't know much else. Just a guy out here doing stuff.
You're so humble, Nick. I appreciate you, man. You've been releasing music for a long time. People may or may not know this about your story. You started primarily as a cinematographer, photographer doing weddings. You built a successful business, you and your wife built a successful business, and then you pivoted the top of 2019 to releasing a song every other week with a music video. And that compounded to you building a pretty solid audience for yourself across Instagram, across YouTube, and it kept building over time. And that's around the time we connected was you already had like 30 songs out, and they were all pretty fire. And then you drop, how long ago did Fineapple come out? Those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about the song Fineapple because it's a big deal.
Late January.
So you dropped Fineapple, and what was Fineapple about? What was that record about?
About my wife. It's just, I mean, I read a lot of, I tend to, there's so many songs about objectifying women. I tend to write songs that glorify my wife.
So you're out here respecting women, glorifying your wife, Amanda, who's amazing. Mm-hmm. And the song gets some legs. Now, again, this is on the back of 5-6 years being a professional cinematographer, now 2 years of consistently releasing music, and the music was already catching wind. You were already developing a pretty solid revenue stream from streaming and Spotify. So Fineapple comes out, and we talked about this on the channel a few weeks ago. There started offers coming in for Fineapple because Fineapple just kind of took on a life of its own fairly early on in the process. Can you talk about that a little bit, the early offers with Fineapple?
Yeah, so I released it back in January. And I released it then, like it's more of a summer feel, but I still released it anyway. I like to throw stuff to the wolves, you know, let them decide whether they like it or not, because it's hard for you to decide as an artist, because everything you make you probably love, so you got to feed it to people and see how the audience responds. So it did well, responded really well early, and then I got an offer from Caroline to partner on the record. And then it wasn't a good fit. I think Caroline, you know, they're great.
Who's Caroline? Can you tell us who Caroline is? Because a lot of folks, we know the industry talk,
yeah,
but who is Caroline?
Caroline is a label under Capitol, like a sub, kind of like a smaller label under Capitol. It still houses some artists you probably know.
It's like the independent arm of Capitol. So they house NF, they house Migos, Quality Control. That's the only artists that come to mind. But it's a big deal. Capitol Caroline is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a good label, and they wanted just a song, which is like a single deal, you know, partner on it. I got a pretty decent split with their offer, but it didn't really make sense at the time. I didn't feel good about it. I normally just go with what feels good in my gut, and it didn't feel right. Like it felt like I was maybe doing something, selling it short, or you know, whatever. So I kept it, and I knew in my head like it's a summer vibe, so I held off from posting it again until it got warm out, and then that worked. So it feels like a summer vibe. It really caught fire on. It's cool because it's kind of an anomaly. Because typically when stuff goes viral and it does well, like you see Pineapple's doing, it's because and TikTok specifically, it's because the sound is going viral and it has a lot of videos being made with it. Like the number one song above me right now in the country is Castaways, the Backyardians Castaway, and that song has almost 1 million videos created to it on TikTok. My song was going viral from what I can tell, just because people like the song. Because my song only has 2,000 videos made to it on TikTok. So I'm up there, and every time I posted it, it did over 1 million views, and I was singing it, and people just liked it off of that. You know, it wasn't anything really like, it wasn't like a trend. It was just people seemed to like the song, which was really rewarding. That it wasn't like people just liked it because it was good music, you know?
Yeah. And well, before you really started working Pineapple again, you kind of took a step back after you passed on the Caroline offer, and you took a step back and you developed the Freddie Show, which to my understanding was the first native TikTok podcast. So you already had some buzz with the Holiday Now page on TikTok. You already were putting your music up on TikTok. I think you were at like 200,000, 150,000 on TikTok, 60,000 on Instagram. But then you started saying, okay, let me kind of take a side approach. And you did this podcast with the homie Cakes. And you guys are doing this Freddie Show, which is hilarious, natively for TikTok. That blows up on YouTube. The merchandise blows up. And how fast did that grow? After you passed on a major label deal, how fast did the Freddie podcast grow? Because this is all connected. Just bear with. This is going somewhere, guys. Just bear with me. And so how long did that take to grow?
Obnoxiously short. Like, and in a little bit, I was like, should I be excited? Like, I've been pushing music for 2.5 years, and then I do this podcast, which I love, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's just two guys talking about whatever. But it was like 500,000 followers in like a month or two. I don't remember. It was like pretty nuts. And we're coming up on 1 million followers right now, and it's probably been 3 to 4 months, I would guess. But here's where it ties in is like, I've been on the For You page a lot for the Freddie Show.
For the Freddie Show.
Millions of views so often, millions of views. Like, we go viral a lot. And then I pop up after not posting a lot with my music. The Freddie Show's been flooding the For You page. Then I pop up with my music and I post something. And then it kept people engaged with my video because they were like, is that the same dude from the podcast? I had no idea that he made music. A lot of the comments early on was, are you the same guy from the podcast? Or like, I didn't even know you did music. So people saw my face, they recognized me, they engaged with the video because they engaged with the Freddie Show one. So I think that really helped an initial push. And then when people saw that I made music, they followed my artist account, they listened to my music, they so it really like tied in there, which you wouldn't really expect, but I mean, maybe you would, but a lot of people don't think of that approach.
And I think the interesting thing is that in both cases, you were leveraging TikTok, but in a different way. So a lot of rappers get on TikTok, they do covers, they do challenges. You posted your original music on TikTok, that got some organic momentum. And then you say, okay, well, I'm going to do something that hasn't been done on TikTok yet, which is a TikTok native podcast that you guys then scale to YouTube. See, I make my videos on YouTube, I scale them to TikTok sometimes. You did the opposite. Freddie's show blows up, the YouTube page blows up, the merchandising is blowing up. So now there's like consistent revenue coming in from that, consistent revenue coming in from music. Obviously, you guys still have the cinematography business. And then you strategically say, okay, now I'm going to go back to TikTok with my own song that came out in January, mind you. And because the familiarity was there with your face, Pineapple just goes completely crazy. Talk about what that was like, that because you did some stuff calculated, but you also don't get to control the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
There's a degree of virality that's spontaneous, but you are also very calculated in crafting some of these videos without going into the nuts and bolts, because this is going to be like a tactical TikTok video. But I do want to, I do want you to talk about that process.
Yeah. I mean, when you're like, if you just look at the videos that went viral, it was me singing a song, and then I made a basketball shot behind my head. So when you think about it, if you're analyzing it as that, um, there's moments throughout it that keep people engaged. And if you keep people engaged and you provide them with rewatchability, then the algorithm loves that. The algorithm eats that up. Now for me, it's like a mixture of, yes, I'm being strategic, but I'm also being organic and authentic. So
Both.
I
Yeah.
really think people try way too hard to pretend like they're being authentic
Yeah.
or organic, and people can tell,
Yep.
especially kids. They can look at you and they can call your bluff immediately, and they will not rock with you. So it's so strongly needed that you be your true self, because if you're not, they'll smell that, they'll sniff that out, and they won't even care about it. I'm
So
telling you.
now the song has been out for a while. You have the podcast that's going crazy, and we were having this conversation. You guys are getting offers from like Manscaped, and brands are reaching out, and you're like, "Well, I guess I'm an influencer podcaster now." And then you
Yeah.
come back to the record because there's a familiarity with you being on TikTok, being kind of like a TikTok star, if you will, and you start working Pineapple, which is then catching crazy numbers. And the dope part, because it's original music, it's transferring to your Instagram, but more importantly, to your Spotify. And then the song itself goes viral on Spotify, getting 150,000 streams a day.
Currently, it's very consistent at 250,000 streams a day. It had a really big day of 380,000 streams one day, which was nuts.
Sheesh. So
Yeah,
so so
wild.
now so now this thing is taking on a life of its own. You do a couple of videos, and you have leverage. You have momentum. And the beautiful part about this is you built momentum, you built leverage, but you didn't do it in a way compromising your faith. You didn't do it in a way compromising your identity. I wrote this song for my wife. You know, your Instagram, your branding is around being a husband, being a father, being transparent about where you are. Your music isn't overtly Jesus music, but you're very transparent about you being a follower of Jesus. And so now, because you have the momentum, you don't have to compromise on the content or anything, and the stakes are higher, and some folks start reaching out. Talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of labels reached out. Labels like Capitol, Republic, 300 Entertainment, Arista Records, which is under Sony. This is some I can think off the top of my head. A lot of labels reaching out, and I also didn't respond to them right away, because I know what I'm good at, and I'm not good at negotiating, because I know what I want, and I clearly know what I want, but I'm not good at negotiating, because in a way, like I think I'm just being honest. I think I'm just too nice to negotiate. So I didn't respond to many of them, but I did hire a consultant slash negotiator at that point, so this would take over all the contact. But anyway, um,
So hold
yeah,
on. So these
offers were
labels are
coming in.
reaching out, and you're not even
Yeah.
responding to any of them. You're just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, I mean, I really, in my heart, it's always been independent. But I always said I'm open to conversations, and if a deal makes sense, like really makes sense, then I will consider it and possibly do it.
And something came across your table. Pretty big
Yeah,
company, little company.
yeah, yeah. There was a deal that came across from a company that I really, Republic Records, from a company that I really I like. I like Republic Records, and I think the song is a good home for Republic Records. Uh, So they made me an offer. The first offer they made, it didn't make sense. It was too much being required of me, and I didn't want to turn it down. I didn't want it. So then they sent me a better one.
What do you mean it
And
was
it's
too much
based,
required of you? They wanted an album. They wanted a couple albums. What was
so
too much that was required?
it was the single with an option.
Okay.
An option is basically for a second single.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a label's way. I mean, you could look at it as keeping you on the hook, or you could look at it as protecting their investment. You know, because it's a business, right? You have to look at it from both sides. So in that way, it's them protecting their investment. It's their way to, if they want to, if the song blows up, that they can then get another song out of me, so that they can make their investment that much more worth it into me. But I didn't want an option because I like to have my freedom and when I can release my own music and etc. So I turned that one down because I didn't want an option, and it would have required me to not be able to release my own music for a little too long. So it wasn't a good fit for me, even though, you know, advances look nice and things like that. It just wasn't a good fit. So they came back with a better offer for just Pineapple, no option. And I ended up taking that one. Yeah.
You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. Nick D inks deal with Universal Republic for the single Pineapple. We can't divulge all the details, but fair to say, multi-six-figure type situation. We talking cloth talk. We talking serious moves, and you did it. You did it on your own terms. You were patient about it. Had you taken that deal with Caroline back in January or February, I mean, you wouldn't have been able to be in the position that you are now. And so
Right.
you are, as a follower of Jesus, as a husband, as a father, are in a position where you are partnered with Universal Republic. For you guys that don't know, Universal Republic is the label behind the Post Malones, the Drakes, the Nicki Minaj's. I can't think of all the other people, but it is basically a lot of our pop music comes out through Universal Republic, and Nick D has officially partnered with them for one song, not two, not an album, not his entire catalog. You still own the entire back catalog. You could still move and come and go as you please. There's no compromising your art. There's no watering it down. You are ultimately at the head of this situation, man. And I think what's dope about this is how inspiring this should be to the Christian community. And you are a Rapzilla freshman. Many folks probably know you from that. But you didn't sit here and obsess with the Christian rap audience. You didn't like aspire to be the biggest Christian rapper. You just went and you were a blue ocean guy. You went and built your own thing in a different ecosystem and are now partnered with the biggest label in the world.
Yeah, it's really cool. There were certain things that I that I wanted from a label if I was to partner, and one of those things was a radio push, and they're one of the best radio teams in the business. So I was really looking forward to that. And then I feel good. I feel good about the partnership. There's great people over there. I have a great team working on the song. You know, they very communicative, whatever that word is. And they seem like they genuinely care, you know, and that's something that I value. You know, I want a team that does actually care about me and that actually enjoys the song, you know, and I truly feel like they do, you know. So I think when people actually like the music and they like you as a person, they'll put their best foot forward and try to make things happen, you know.
Yeah, man. And it's exciting because it again lifts the ceiling. It lifts some of the victim mentality that Christians walk around with, assuming that they could only go so far. They're looking at this person over here, they're looking at that person over here, looking at this blog over here and thinking, well, I guess this is the ceiling for me. You know what I mean? I guess this is it. I'm not going anywhere from here. And I think what this demonstrates is that when you do things God's way, in terms of living your life God's way, right? Honoring your wife, honoring your son, honoring all these different things that you have going on, and you build out your business God's way. You're not thirsty. You're not out here trying to get on. You're not out here hungry for Andy Mineo or Lecrae feature. You just did what you did, bro, and it just slowly compounded. You put out a ton of music, and you leverage the technology that it positions Christians in culture to go way beyond the four walls of the church, to go way beyond just preaching to the choir and reaching other Christians. And I know that's your heart in terms of the type of art you make. Can you just share some of your vision in terms of the type of music you've been making up until this point? I mean, you have, I think, over 100 songs on Spotify. They're all fire. I listen to them when we work out regularly. So just share your heart for the music and the vision.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I love what I say in my songs. I put a lot of emphasis on my message in my music. And every song is different. And sometimes I just have fun when I make music too. But like for Fine Apple specifically, I wrote a song about glorifying my wife, and I love it because a song about glorifying your wife is #2 viral in the United States. It's not supposed to be there. Like if you think about it, like the music that goes viral, this song is not supposed to be there, and it makes it that much more rewarding. And I think it even shows over and over again that people are craving something real, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean my message, and then now people are listening to that, and now that is in their rotation. So a song about someone loving their wife is in the rotation instead
Come
of a
on.
song about at the strip club or how many side chicks they got, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So I love that, and I love to just have those little plugs into people's playlists. When I make music, I want it to sound like something people would like, but I want the content to be uh, good, just good and
Yeah.
wholesome. And I want it to open doors for conversation. Like, why do you write songs
Mm.
about your wife? Why do you speak the way you do? Why do you carry yourself the way you do? Because then at that point I can respond with Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily shove it down people's throat, but I think they're more open to the conversation when they come to you about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, man. And different folks make music or make art for the church, and I would say what you do is make music from the church. It's from a Christian
Mm.
perspective. It's going to celebrate the things that we value as Christians. It's going to be known by the things we're for, and then over time, you are positioned to be in these these different playlists, these different circles, and then as people kind of peel away at that onion, they discover, oh man, Nick's a follower of Jesus. He's a husband. He has all these different things that he's doing, and above all else, you're breaking the barrier, not just a barrier, but you're breaking like the archetype of what a artist is, right? It's not just about you being uber duper artsy fartsy fancy schmancy. That was actually pretty good. Uber duper artsy fartsy fancy schmancy. I would have coined that, but it's you being multiple things. You are a cinematographer and a photographer. You are a podcaster and a personality that's very funny. You are a artist who is a rapper and a singer. You make hip hop and pop music. So I think that is also where music seems to be going, and where people getting on seems to be going, is much more than just one thing. Okay, Nick, you could just be an artist. No. You could do all these different things, and you could have strategic partnerships for these different ventures. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to be the new direction we see music and art go as people build out their businesses in just a completely different way than we're used to seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, music is like the wild, wild west right now. They don't, people are rarely building artists anymore. Um, and rare might even be, they just don't anymore. They typically go out and they see what's working, and then they add what they can to it and amplify it. But I do think that if you want to be, especially independent artists, then you need to have multiple ways for people to find you. It's really tough for you to just make good music.
Yes.
That doesn't really work that well anymore. Now, if you just make good music, then you're gonna need a team. Like
Mm.
you probably would fit in a label system if you just make good music, because you got to have that mindset of that you need to be everywhere, you need to be doing everything. Um, and if you don't have that, then you probably should look for a team, and that's when you can find value in a team or a label system. And that's not to say like, who knows what doors this opens after. You know, there could be a situation that another thing presents itself and it just makes sense. You know, this singles deal made sense. So if something else pops up that makes sense, I'm always open to that too. And like I said, I like the team over at Republic. You know, I'm building relationships over there, so who knows what could come from it.
That's amazing, man. And the dope part is some of the folks that are already saying this, you got announced with the official Flavor Fest lineup. So unlike, certain folks that have historically came from the Rapzilla freshman class and kind of evolved and kind of pulled away, you're going to be at Flavor Fest, Christian Hip Hop Festival. Me and you are going to be doing a workshop together on YouTube, TikTok, leveraging platforms. And so I'm excited about that. This is, I think, your first Christian hip hop event that you're going to be performing at, unless, I'm not sure. But are you excited about being at Flavor
Yeah.
Fest, rocking out, doing this workshop, October 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in Florida? Talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm probably more excited about the panel. I I feel like that's where I like those things. That's how my brain works. So I like sharing those things with people. I'm probably less excited about performing, just because like I don't know. I like creating in this room, you know, and then I've never been a big performer. I'm not really the guy to get on stage and like, let's get hype, you know. I'm more of a
Hey, wait, when you have a hit song, you don't need to be. People would just know the words to the song. And
well,
then,
see that I was telling somebody that the other day. I was like, it's mad different when you get up in front of like 50, 150 people and you're performing a song they don't know. It's mad different when you get up in front of thousands of people and they all know the words. You
mm-hmm,
know, it's a
mm-hmm.
different so I'm hoping I can, you know, people know Pineapple by then, and you know,
Yeah. Oh no, they're
it'll
gonna know
be
Pineapple by then, and I'm sure you'll have another one or two records under your belt after that. That are going to be going
that
crazy
they
as well.
might
So I'm
know.
sure your performance will be an alley oop. It'll be the rest of us that will have to try to be in front of 1,000 people without a hit record, try to make it work. But you said something right now, and I just we can end with this. But you said something right now that I think really captures your heart, and you said, "I'm more excited to be doing the panel than the performance," right? The performance is, hey, we're on stage, we're rocking out, people are finding value from it, it's dope, concerts are fun. But you said, man, your heart is in the panel. I want you to unpack that, because I don't think people understand, like, I don't think people really get your heart, Nick. Like, why are you more excited to do a panel on your come up story and how people can incorporate these ideas?
I just think that's where the fruit is. You know, that's the people can take away something from that. You know, it's not much people will take away from Fine Apple other than a good time if I'm performing it. You know, like I love that song, but I think there's value in sharing things that I've learned with people who genuinely want to know about it and hopefully will implement it, and they can do things. You know, you say I'm kind of laying the new blueprint. When you told me something on the phone the other day, you were like, if you look at it, you're not supposed to win. You know, you were like, the way that the things that I write about, um, you know, a husband, father, I'm 29.
Mhm.
You know, like he's like, you mentioned something along those lines. It was like, you shouldn't even be here. You know,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
where like in this with these opportunities. And I was like, I love that. I was
Yeah.
like, I love that
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be here and that I'm here. It's that much more rewarding.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, the panel is just, I just want to love on people well. You know, it's um, that's been one of the main goals the whole time, is just to show people that you can do good and good things will happen.
Come on. You could do good and good things will happen. And I think that is, again, just not talked about, man. And I feel like what's unique about this is God's in it, bro. Like, God's definitely in it. You're positioned strategically to speak to this generation in a way that most people aren't able to, you know, and I think it's a part of a broader, dare I say, revival that's happening on TikTok and YouTube, right? Dare I say that God is moving in this generation in a way that I haven't seen him move in my generation, at least, not this way with technology and media. And so I think we need a holistic approach. We need the Ruslans that are going to be talking about culture and current events on YouTube. We need the Amen Alexes that are going to just be overtly preaching on TikTok. And then we need the soundtrack for this life. We need the soundtrack. And it's not always going to be Hillsong and elevation worship. Like, it's not just always going to be worship music. There needs to be some hip hop. There needs to be some love songs. There needs to be other things. We're running numbers up on Pineapple. Stream it. Let's get that thing to 10 million streams. I was telling them how we need a holistic approach. We need the soundtrack, and it just doesn't need to be elevation and Hillsong, that it could be rap songs and pop songs and love songs that equip people to walk in their identity in Christ. And yeah, man. And so, guys, run the numbers up on Pineapple. You have another song out that came out right after Pineapple called Summer Song. That's super dope. Is that what it's called? Summer Song? I was just listening to it. Song for the Summer. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. And then also the week before that, I did Snowflakes Fall. So I dropped 2 songs right after.
Snowflakes Fall is super hard too. But yeah, man, guys, give Nick a follow on all platforms. Make sure you scoop up your tickets for Flavor Fest. You don't want to miss Flavor Fest. You don't want to miss the workshop me and him are going to be doing. It's going to be super dope. And hopefully, regardless on you're going to have a song that goes viral or not, hopefully at the very least, this inspires you of the possibilities of what's possible when you put your head down, you work your face off, you're smart, you're strategic, you understand how these things work. And you don't play the Christian victim card. You don't play the woe is me, the world hates me, I'll never be successful, I'll never have any money because the world hates me. Like, let's move away from that mentality, because I don't know how many examples do we need to see of Christians crushing it in culture, crushing it on YouTube, crushing it on TikTok, and now crushing it in the music industry to help us imagine the possibility of this new era that we're in. And so, Nick, thanks for doing this, man. Flavor Fest, October 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, Tampa, Florida. I'll be performing. Nick D will be performing. KB will be performing. Brian Trejo will be performing. I think they almost have Bizzle confirmed. Dayton will be there. It's going to be an incredible lineup. And so if you're anywhere near Tampa, or matter of fact, you should get to Tampa somehow, some way. Get your butt to Tampa, because it's going to be dope. And the conference right now, the early bird passes are $100, $99, which is super cheap, man. So, Nick, any final words before we get out of here, man?
Keep on keeping on. Love people well and be so consistent it's impossible to ignore you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Donovan, you heard it here first.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it till the end of this video. If you found it valuable, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. Also, you can check out one of the other videos related to this that'll be over here, or check out more of my story. Now, I gotta tell you about a free training I have for anyone that is an entrepreneur, a creative, an artist, or just generally looking to get into the YouTube space, but maybe you are unsure on how to find your voice, how to find your niche, and how to create predictable success. I have a free training, Find Your YouTube Niche training, in the description of this video. Check it out. I promise you will find it valuable. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.